Hello and welcome to Comedy in a Nutshell. I'm your host Mark Decano, and I love hanging around in dark, dank basements while people have existential crises on stage for my amusement. Each episode I have a guest from the world of comedy talk about the ups and downs and ins and outs of their experience as they go over and above, describing what's underneath. I'm the comedy nerd who's seen more than 1,800 different comedians perform live comedy, and you can find out more about my journey in comedy fandom on my website, thecomedynerd.com. Please also take a moment to like, subscribe, rate, review and share the podcast. Thank you. My guest this episode is a versatile comedian who has showcased her talent as one half of sketch duo Norris and Parker, as a winner of the Musical Comedy Awards in 2023, and making her solo debut with an hour that took this year's Best Show at the Leicester Comedy Awards. It's comedian Katie Norris. So do you remember comedy's sort of first impact on you? Or was it a big influence when you were growing up?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up watching a lot of, obviously, television. And my parents were like older, so they didn't always, older than most parents. My dad was 50, my mum was 40. And they didn't really have they kind of just let us do our own thing. And so I would watch things that maybe I wasn't allowed to watch from a young age, which I think has influenced my comedy. So I think I grew up watching Carry On films. So they were always on the TV. And the first one I saw was Carry On Cruising. And then I watched have you seen them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up on them as well, yeah.
Oh, okay. So so that kind of shows that my parents were older as well, because they were from a different generation. So I guess they didn't put the cartoons on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and then I watched Carry On Screaming, and then I was watching Eurotrash, I think, at about 12. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
No. So it's all making sense now. And also horror films. Horror films actually really influenced my comedy.
Yeah.
I watched The Exorcist at 10.
Wow. Okay.
So you're getting a sense of it now.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, comedy's always influenced. I must have been good at mimicking people from a young age. And then when you realize you're good at something, I think that's what you end up doing if you've got parents that support you in that way.
Yeah.
And that's what I became good at. I liked mimicking people, doing accents. It made people laugh. I think I must have just unconsciously gone down that route, because I think I wrote a play when I was 11 at primary school, and they let me put it on.
Yeah.
And it was instead of the nativity. So I got to do, I think it was one scene, and it was set in an angel agency.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I played the secretary. And I was 11.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was awful, but it was a comedy.
Yeah. Carry on in the manger.
And I think one of the jokes was that the phone rings, but I pick it up and it carries on ringing. That was it. I know.
So you knew you were going to be on the comedy scene from an early age then?
I must have done. I never wanted to do anything else apart from acting. And I think one of the reasons why is because I wasn't particularly, I wasn't good at anything else. I just wasn't that interested. So my brother was always really intellectual, and he's a GP now, and he always was really worked really hard. And then I started off in top sets in everything, and then slowly got put down and down and down. And I think I was just so bored in class.
Yeah.
I remained in top sets in English, but I only ever wanted to just do drama, art and music.
Yeah.
I just never wanted to do anything else. And then I went to college, and I didn't really apply myself there unless it was drama or music, because I didn't want to go to university. I always wanted to go to drama school, and people would say, why aren't you working hard on your essays? And I'd say, because I'm going to go to drama school, and you don't need to be clever to go there. You just have to be able to do accents. And I was right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Haven't written an essay since I was 18.
So what about specific impulses or influences on you to go into comedy as a sketch artist or as a character comic?
Well, that started at drama school, so I didn't think about it as a career at all until I met Sinead. And Sinead's my best friend, but we met at Manchester Met. And Manchester Met is an amazing. I had a really great time there, and they have a history of like nurturing comedy actors. So Steve Coogan went there, and Judy Walters, and I found generally like being around Northerners like really good crack. And Sinead's from Manchester, and we were pissing around all the time, and we both loved the League of Gentlemen, and we would go home back to hers and we would watch the League of Gentlemen with the Chinese. We loved Julia Davis, Nighty Night. And someone said to us, it was an actor called Colin Connor, and he said to us, you girls should start a double act. And I think when you hear it from someone else, you're just like, yeah, okay. And so I stayed up during the summer, and we booked a room at the Lasso Gallery pub, which is a fringe theatre pub in Manchester, which sadly I don't think is around anymore. And it was the 27th of July, 2010. And I remember that because it was my mum's birthday. And we spent a whole summer writing the worst sketch show in the history of time. There was a scene from The Exorcist. But instead of the head spinning round, I think Sinead just pulled her pants down. I mean, that's as highbrow as we got. And all our friends and family came, and one member from the actual public.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that was my first ever gig.
Yeah. Were you nervous doing it?
Yeah, we were so nervous. Yeah. I mean, I think it's more nerve-wracking actually doing it in front of your friends and family. And our teachers from drama school came as well. But we carried on. And then we did our first fringe. We did our first Edinburgh Fringe in 2013. Yeah. So that was it.
Yeah. Was that like an instant bug that you knew that was something that you wanted to do?
I think we just loved creating our own characters. And I think we felt like we were good at it. And we both emboldened the other one in different ways. Yeah. And I've learned a lot from Sinead over the years, and she's learned a lot from me. And I think we kind of had this yin and yang, which obviously lots of double acts have. Sinead was always like much more, I hate sitting at a laptop. I hate that part of it, which obviously I've covered with being really shit at school. So we would improvise, and we would kind of record our conversations, and then she would sit at the laptop, and then we would kind of together work on it. But she would be the one that was like sat at the laptop, because I always hated that. But I have now I'm working on my own. I do that now all the time. And I do think that I learned a lot about that because of Sinead.
Yeah.
With the process of that.
Was it easier going in as being part of a duo because you had someone to help you out in that respect, and also to rely on, and to be, I suppose, a form of protection because you're in company when you're on stage?
Yeah. I mean, Sinead are obviously like really, really close. I think to be in a double act is a really, really hard thing, because your lives are enmeshed, and you're sharing everything, and you can't take a gig if one of you is not free. And I think that we grew together, and we like grew up together, and we were. I saw her more than I saw my family and my boyfriends, and we just knew each other inside out, and we would, be experiencing life at the same pace, and going to these gigs together and bombing together. But occasionally one of us would have a slightly better gig than the other. But it's nice to come off stage and debrief with someone, and it's nice to go onto stage and be like, and have someone being like, you can do it and stuff. Yeah. And I miss that aspect of things now. But at the same time, I feel a lot more autonomy now. I'm doing it on my own, because I can kind of write when I want, and I can gig when I want. And when you're in a double act, even financially, you're sharing the same amount of money. You don't get paid double for a double act. You get paid the same as a solo artist. So, we'd be sharing 50 quid. It's very, very hard to make it as a double act.
Yeah. So starting out, going to Edinburgh Festival in 2013, and obviously you've been back many times since then, and now debuting as your solo hour last year.
Yeah.
How's your festival experience been overall, and how has it changed in that time?
It's changed so much. I mean, I always think I've had two first gigs because I saw doing stand-up as like completely starting over. I didn't expect to be good at it straight away. And so for me, starting doing stand-up, which I started in 2020, so I started January 2020 was when I did the Soho stand-up lab course, which was an introductory to stand-up. And so I always say my journey started then. But yes, I find doing it on your own, it's isolating. But I've also found that I've grown a lot of other friendships in comedy. So I had an amazing living situation last year I was living with Stevie Martin and Adam Richards, and they're both sort of fringe veterans as well. So we had each other's back. So I never felt like alone, but it was strange to be performing on stage and waiting for the reviews to come out without Sinead coming into my room at 3 a.m. saying, did you see we got 3.5 stars from Chortle? So in the end, I just had to stop reading reviews when I was up there last year.
Right.
Which actually was good because Sinead would never have let me done that. But this year is going to be particularly strange for me because I'm in the same room that me and Sinead did Burn the Witch in 7 years ago. So I've been given Pleasance Courtyard beneath again. Yes. And I just think that's going to be such a strange experience for me. I don't know, for so many reasons, because it feels like I've sort of like accelerated in some ways my career and I'm established myself on my own, but to be going back to a room from 7 years ago, it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels very strange.
Yeah. You said about starting over doing stand-up now as opposed to doing sketch duo.
Yeah.
Did you have expectations going into the one or the other? Was there something that was different that surprised you about doing stand-up as opposed to doing sketches?
Yeah, for me, I find stand-up, every gig feels completely different. Whereas when me and Sinead did our sketches, we would just come out and do our sketch, and it would be like not necessarily the same energy every time, but we were acting with each other. And so we kind of just stuck to the lines. And so if the audience weren't on board, then that was just the way it was. But there was almost like, what's the word? It kind of stayed the same when you do sketch comedy, if that makes sense. But when you do stand up, every gig feels totally different because you have to create a unique relationship with the audience every night. So you could be saying the same jokes, the same set, but it'll feel so different every night. Whereas I think when you come to a Norris and Parker show, when people came to a Norris and Parker show, they were getting like, consistency. It was very like, you're coming in, this is what we're doing, get on fucking board. Whereas what I like about stand-up, or what I've learned over time, is that you have to kind of come onto the stage and allow the audience to come to you rather than you go to them.
And also in that sense that you're playing now yourself to an extent, and not so much a character in a situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not in a wig. I'm not hiding behind a wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of you are we seeing when you're on stage? How much is it an exaggeration, and how much are you getting across those sort of personal ideas?
I think you're seeing a side of me. You're seeing an extension of me. I don't know necessarily whether I'm a stand-up that's trying to think. Like, I don't know whether you're a stand-up that's seeing me at home. You know, like I think my persona is going to change a lot over time. And your debut is you sort of establishing yourself and showing people what you can do. But I think my challenge to myself this year is to allow the audience to maybe see a sort of more sensitive personal side to me that's there, that maybe I've always been afraid to show, without it just being, I don't know, a joke. But that's my challenge to myself this year. And it could go really badly wrong. But, you know, I still think that that's not a bad thing. I'm trying to tell myself that anyway. Elf's directing me, and she's desperate for me to like do some, like, well, she keeps telling me I need to take my clothes off, but I'm like, I'm not doing that because I haven't done the clowning course, and I don't want to. But I think she would love me to do like a show that's just completely sad, but that's not me.
Yeah, it does feel like that's clown course day one. Get naked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. She's desperate for me to do that. It's not happening. I don't mind threatening to, though. I think there's funny. I threatened to take my clothes off in the last show, so I'll threaten to take them off again. But it's not going to happen.
You mentioned about reviews and about not reading reviews for yourself. How do you respond to feedback and criticism, if you like?
I think fairly well. I mean, like any human being, if there's something in there that I don't like reading, then I feel hurt. But like any feeling in the world, it's only lasts so long.
Yeah.
I read some horrible comments about me a few days ago under a video. To be fair to them, I'm not happy with that video. Someone filmed my stand-up and put it on YouTube, and I hate it when people do that because I don't have creative control over it. And then it's one of the first things people see when they Google me. And some people had written like, not very nice things underneath. And that made me feel sad. And that lasted the day. And then something amazing. And then I won the Leicester Comedy Awards in the evening. So everything changed. It's very fleeting.
Yeah.
I remember feeling that in Edinburgh. One day is such a roller coaster of emotions. Like you'll get 4 stars in The Guardian in the morning and then find out you didn't get nominated in the afternoon. Then you'll get like your hit comedy hero will come and sit in your audience. Like it's just that constantly. It's not very healthy. But also I think when you get a bad review, you can just bury it. Like it feels kind of humiliating, and it feels, I get humiliated quite easily, actually, especially when it comes to, criticism. But again, it's like, it can just be buried. It's fine. Yeah. Everyone will forget. Everyone's just thinking about themselves anyway.
Well, what about the award then? Leicester Comedy Award, Best Show this year.
It makes me so happy that.
Yeah. And it's a debut show as well for your Edinburgh show.
Yeah.
And it went straight to Best Show, so that's fantastic. As Joe Kip Walters did last year. His debut went straight to Best Show at Leicester. So yeah, although
he won and then debuted. I debuted, then won.
Yeah.
different journey. But I mean, still, a great, I'm so happy. I'm really happy that that was actually my favourite tour show as well, the Leicester one. It was my first tour show.
Yeah. And Joe was in the audience.
Yeah, so I got touched by the king, and then I won. Thanks, Joe.
How do you feel again about those kinds of accolades or awards or competitions? Do you want to be like the big award winner, or is it just on the night? It's a gig, and what comes will come?
Obviously it's lovely to win an award. I would love to win more. I think it's really, really nice to have people find your work inspiring and award deserving. But I also know that it's a fleeting feeling. But yeah, of course it feels good. But I also see a journey where those awards don't happen and you still have a really successful career. I see it with my peers. And I also have seen and heard stories about people that have won awards, and then there's a certain level of expectation put on them that maybe they feel like isn't fair, afterwards to maintain that kind of level of success. And I think that can be really harmful to like the process of someone trying to create work. And it's something you have to try and ignore. It's something I've been feeling because I'm going to Edinburgh again this year. And it was a really hard decision to make. I was like kicking and screaming, making the decision. Like I didn't want to do it. And the reason I didn't want to do it was because I felt like I needed more time to write another show that was as good as Farm Fatale. And I might be right. But I think that I will be a better stand-up and a better comedian and a better artist if I push myself now. And I'm just going to give it a go and be brave and be bold and hope for the best. And if it doesn't go as well as last year, which is fine, then maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really, really scared. I keep waking up in the night, like having nightmares about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, it's because of the pressure, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, there's that kind of cognitive dissonance as well, where people are like, you're doing well. But you don't always feel like you are inside.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. We're all on a journey.
You're also a musical comedy award winner, which is different because it's not about your show and the hour that you've put on. It's about your spot in a competition where everyone else is vying for the exact same thing and you only have a short time to appear. Do you have that sort of competitive streak in you?
Do I have a competitive streak? I must do. I just entered a competition. Do I have a competitive streak? Yes, I suppose I do, because I think you need to. But also no, because I don't. I've entered so many competitions and not won, and then just been kind of fine about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I don't let it get to me. Yeah. But I've entered more competitions and lost them than I have won.
Yeah.
The Musical Comedy Awards, in terms of like, you know, a competition where you have these series of heats and there's a sort of end result, like a final. That was the nicest process I found in a comedy competition. I found the Musical Comedy Awards a much more like nurturing environment. I didn't feel like we were competing unhealthily with one another. I think that the sort of like energy of the musical comedians I found like really nice to be around, and we all just wanted to be there and we all just wanted to meet each other. And it was one of the first competitions I've done in comedy where we've all had a genuine interest and wanted to support each other on the night. I do sometimes find, and I have found in the past, and I don't know if this is something other comedians can connect with, but when it's straight stand up, I have found that the process and the environment has been much more dog eat dog. And that doesn't get the best out of you, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, but the Musical Comedy Awards, I have to say, I think that was the nicest competition I've entered. Yeah.
Well, of course, your show Femme Fatale heavily featured music as well, with your phenomenal singing voice and a very eclectic mix of styles. Yeah. How important is the music to the show for you?
So important for me. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I'm inspired by so much music. I listen to music and write. I grew up watching musicals, grew up being in musicals. I want to write a musical, so I'm going to apply for Arts Council funding, I think, after this Fringe and try and write a musical. That's my dream. The saddest thing about the whole thing is, though, that I don't play the piano. So I'm not a composer. So I'm very honest about this. So I work with musicians. I work with composers. But the process is that I have my friend Chris Thompson. I went to drama school with him. Chris Thompson, that's his name. Don't forget it, because he's going to be a fucking star. Well, he is already. So what happens is I've known him since drama school. He writes pantomimes and things. And if anyone saw, which I doubt anyone did, me and Sinead's show See You at the Gallows in the Pleasance Courtyard in the attic in 2016, Chris was in that show. He played live. And he is phenomenal pianist and composer. And so what happens is we meet up, I book a space, and I bring like notes and I bring ideas, and I improvise with him around the piano. And this is how we've come up with all the songs. I improvise around the piano, come up with a hook. So for example, the Mummy Girlfriend song, which is my one-hit wonder, it's I think we came up with mummy girlfriend, and then it built from there. And so then we shape the song together, and then it gets drafted 2 or 3 times. Same with the Acaster song. So with the Acaster song, it was I want to be James Acaster, and then we played around with that, and then I write Huge Davies as well. So I write with Huge. He featured in me and Sinead's show in Pleasance Beneath in 2018. He played live before he debuted. And now he's so famous. But he's so talented. So the same thing happened with him. I went to his house and he helped me write the Don't Feed My Cat song. And that was, again, pissing around. I was going, please don't feed my cat. Please don't feed my cat. And then we build around that. So I think I always find the hook first.
Yeah.
And so Chris was around yesterday. So we spent 4 hours around the piano at my house yesterday. My neighbors think I'm absolutely insane, but what did we come up with yesterday? So the vibe for the next show is Victorian music hall. I'll have other styles in there as well. I think I've got at the moment I've got a bit of a jazzy number, and then I've got a Ursula from Little Mermaid style song. And then the one we wrote yesterday, which I really hope I can pull off, is in the style of my favorite music hall song in the history of time, The Laughing Policeman. Do you remember? Do you know that song?
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I die, I want someone to play that at my funeral because it's my favorite song in the world. So yeah, it's in the style of The Laughing Policeman because I'm wearing in the next show a Victorian vibe. I've shown you photos, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah. I showed Mark photos, by the way. So that's, and then I really want a techno song, which I'll probably do with Huge. But the show at the moment, so that the show I'm taking to Edinburgh this year is called Go West Old Maid, and it is really early stages at the moment. I mean, I've got a lot of work to do. I don't really know where it's going or what it's going to be about, but I've got sort of ideas. I've got a few new song ideas. It almost feels a little bit at the moment like I'm trying to do too much, but I'm just going to throw some ideas and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to also kind of like manage my expectations a bit, because the beauty about your debut hour is that it is 3 years of work for everyone.
Yes.
So, you know, once you've debuted and you're on that treadmill, you're then expected to write another show in like 6 months. And I'm on that treadmill now. So the show it might come together like a little bit later than Farm Fatale did, because I think I did about 60 previews for Farm Fatale. So when I was on that first day in Edinburgh last year, I didn't even have previews. I was told afterwards that The Guardian were in on my first night because I'd done the show was shit hot before I went.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be the case this time. So expect nothing.
At what point, if you're performing an Edinburgh show, your debut Edinburgh show that you, like you say, you spent so much time on, at what point do you start sort of thinking, I need to follow this up? And when are people asking you questions like halfway through the Edinburgh Fringe and saying, oh yeah, we loved your show, what are you going to do next, kind of thing?
The only people asking me that question are my agents. Seriously. And me as well, because it's I feel like, well, I mean, Farm Fatale, she keeps on serving. I mean, I won the Leicester Comedy Awards on Monday, so you know, there's a world for Farm Fatale where she can exist another year. But I'm going to film the show in Manchester, and I'm going to sort of can it, put it online, so it'll exist online. I'll put some clips online for my sins, probably get like 2 likes, and just start working on the next thing. Yeah. And then I think after this Fringe, I'll think about what I want to do next. But I'm really excited to have 2 hours of material by September.
Yeah. You say about working on your debut show for 3 years. I mean, as you said, you switched gears into stand-up in 2020, and then, of course, stand-up ceased to exist for a period of time. How did you respond in that situation? What do you do? Are you thinking, I'm going to use this time to write, or where do you go?
So I had 2 months. I had January to March of doing the stand-up lab at Soho Theatre. So I was going in weekly and being taught how to be a stand-up and building my first sort of 3 or 4 minutes. And then on the day we were supposed to do our first ever live stand-up gig, that was when the theatres closed. So I never got to do the showcase. And then obviously lockdown happened, and I booked my first ever stand-up gig. I did Beat the Frog on Zoom.
Yeah.
In April of 2020. I was runner-up, I think. But it was awful. I was on my own in the flat with my cat, Atticus, and I just put the audience were muted. And when it was over, I just sort of put my laptop down and then looked at him, and then it was a very strange feeling. But in lockdown, I was living on my own, and I did one of the things I think I mentioned earlier was that I was quite, I didn't feel confident in myself as a writer. I didn't want to call myself a writer because with Sinead, we weren't writing alone. We were writing together. And like I said, she kind of had a bit more control over the laptop, and I was worried that I didn't have the skills. And so to try and kind of give myself more confidence, I did a lot of writing courses during lockdown. So I used that time. I did creative writing courses at City Lit. I did short story writing courses at City Lit. I did 3 playwriting courses. I did, loads basically online that were weekly. And also, if anyone wants to do them, they're not very expensive at all. And I signed on, and I think I got a 12-week course for like 60 quid, which is amazing. But I also made friends with people over Zoom. So yes, that's what I did. And I did stand-up courses. Soho Theatre offered loads of masterclasses during lockdown with comedians.
Yep.
And I did all of them pretty much. So yeah, I was still working, and actually that time was amazing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we were allowed to gig, I was out there gigging, doing all the open mics, doing all the bringers. And then I realized that like I could actually, because of the work with Norris and Parker, I could actually get some decent gigs off the back of that. So I started sort of trying to sort of like sell myself to paid gigs before I was ready.
Right.
And I was actually finding that I was doing all right at them. And then it took me maybe a year to build my first 10, 15 minutes. Mummy Girlfriend was like the second song I ever wrote with Chris. And that has been the best song I've written so far. Which came from the worst relationship of my life. And I'm so happy that I experienced that. Yeah.
You've mentioned a few names of people that you've worked with. Do you still have people around you or that you watch performing who continue to inspire you?
Oh, so many people. Elf Lions is a big inspiration for me. I just find her work really dynamic and original and packed full of jokes. She's got amazing like freedom on stage, whilst also, I mean, I know her process a bit better now because we're A, really good friends, and B, she's my director. But I know that she's got this kind of like amazing freedom and originality to her work, but that she's also really disciplined. So when we work together, and I think that's similar to me as well, actually. Like I feel comfortable. I only feel comfortable kind of improvising on stage and seemingly coming across free and unhinged if I've gone away and I've scripted something.
Right.
So I can't just go on stage and do an hour of like, oh, I don't really know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I need to know that I've got jokes in the next section. And if I do, and I know that they'll be all right and I've worked them out, then I can maybe have a bit more freedom to play in the moments before or after.
Yeah. I was going to say, when watching you perform, you are very, as you say, playful.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little bit flirty and a little bit sort of side eye. So, I'm watching this too, and I know it's a bit silly kind of thing. You have that sort of playfulness.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I can only be playful though if I know that I've done the work before. and at the moment, I'm at the stage of the next show where I don't know what I've written is working. So I'm at that really scary part at the moment where I'm sort of looking into the darkness and not knowing what's going to happen. But yeah, because some of my jokes are like really tightly scripted and written and really thought about. And then some of them my favorite jokes I've come up with in the moment. They've been ad libs, and then I've either built on them or kept them in. Yeah.
Do you still watch comedy? Is it an entertainment for you, or do you have to see it with a comedian's eye?
That's so funny because I do, but not in the same way as other people do. So what comedy have I watched recently? I'm keen to see the new series on Amazon, Last One Laughing, because I've seen the clips come up on my Instagram and stuff like that, and I'm really keen to sit down and watch that. But I know that I'll just be sat watching it thinking, I must message my agent about this afterwards. But yes, I sometimes struggle to watch comedy because all day I'll be sat trying to write jokes and stuff. Sometimes I have a habit of just sitting and watching things that turn my brain to mush, or make me feel other feelings. Like I watch a lot of 24 Hours in Police Custody, a lot of true crime, a lot of like reality television, but then I find that a lot of that inspires my work. But yes, I think, what comedy do I love at the moment that I've seen that I really, I mean, I know it's not necessarily a comedy, but there's funny stuff in it, but I'm loving White Lotus.
Right.
Oh my God, so much stuff. See, this is the thing. I'm like, what comedy's out at the moment? I should know, because I want to write a TV series. Oh, I mean, obviously I love Peep Show and stuff like that. I've seen them all.
And when you're in Edinburgh, do you go and watch your peers performing? And
I do.
You watch them with a critical eye, perhaps?
I do. I saw way more when I was doing sketch comedy than I did last year. Last year, I wasn't really living very close to my venue last year, so I struggled to come in as much. Whereas before, I've been living a 15-minute walk, but I was an hour's walk, and that kind of got my routine became quite difficult then. But I do go and see my friends, definitely. I think that's really important. And I see a lot at Soho Theatre during the year.
Yes.
And I go and see plays and musicals, and I think that's really important. And I'm always really gutted when I miss a show. I think I've just missed Jacqueline Novak at Soho Theatre. I just missed her whip. I think my favourite comedian is Natalie Palamides. Yeah.
Between your hour-long shows and your emceeing and doing spots, writing...
Emceeing?
I've seen you MC once.
Yeah, the first time I'd ever emceed.
Well.
And then I did it for the second time the other day, and that was so scary.
Well, I'll assume that one is excluded from this question then. So what my question is, of all those options, where do you find yourself sort of happiest? What's your comfort zone? Clearly not emceeing.
What is my comfort zone? Singing. I love singing.
Yeah.
I love singing comedy songs. And I love I'll always love hiding behind characters, I think.
Yeah.
That's my safe place.
Yeah.
My unsafe place is talking to audience members and doing crowd work. But I think I'm getting better at it, and people keep telling me I need to do more of it. So you might see more of it in the next show. You might see more of me stepping into the unknown in the next show. But there'll be songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that afford you some protection? And do you feel like you can be more or other or something than if you're hiding behind a character? Oh, not hiding necessarily, but characterization.
Well, no, yeah, I know what you mean. But definitely, yeah. I mean, because it's like you can think my jokes are shit and you can hate me, but at least you'll be like, afterwards, you'll be like, oh, you had a lovely voice. If I know a gig's going really badly and someone comes up to me afterwards and it's like, oh, I like the songs, and I'm like, oh, I've still done fine. That was a 5 out of 10 gig.
You always get applause at the end of a song.
Oh yeah, exactly. You always get applause, and they could not be laughing, but there's been a couple of times where a gig's gone badly, and I've just sung the song really nicely and like correctly and technically good, so that at least they're like, oh, I guess I can't hate her. Like, she's put the effort in. I just don't like anything she's saying. So yeah, there's that. That's my comedy safe place.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of things going well or not so well, then, what do you think have been your best and worst experiences doing comedy so far?
Best experiences have been the Musical Comedy Awards was a very special night, I think, for lots of reasons. I think one, because I really wasn't expecting it. Two, because the Bloomsbury Theatre is it's actually, my dad used to run it in the 80s. And he's not around anymore, so he wasn't there. He died, and he and performing there and winning the Musical Comedy Awards with all my family there was really special. And it used to have a different name, the Bloomsbury Theatre. It was my dad who renamed it the Bloomsbury Theatre, and it's kind of like a comedian's dream to perform there. And that was like a full circle moment for me. So that was a highlight. Worst. There's been so many. I have had loads of bad gigs. I bombed in Chelmsford the other day, but I've bombed twice in Chelmsford. And I'm okay with bombing in Chelmsford. I was thinking about an audience member in my head last night. I couldn't sleep. And there was a woman that came to see my show in Edinburgh last year, and she hated every second of it. And I felt like she thought she was watching TV, and everyone else in the audience were having a nice time. But I was drawn to her, which is what every comedian says. They're always drawn to the people not laughing. And she was really actively hating the show and kept sort of nudging her boyfriend and leaning over. And it was near the end of the run. And I think I was super tired and feeling like all the comedians like just run out. And I remember her so vividly. And I still sort of see her when I close my eyes sometimes if I'm feeling terrible about myself. And afterwards, I think the audience all left. And I usually would stand at the door and hand out badges and say, thank you for coming. And I didn't. I hid behind the curtain and I just burst into tears. And it was the first time my technician had seen me cry. I think it was the first time I cried the whole run, because I was genuinely having such a nice time. But there was just something about her, like, looking at me like she wanted, like I was disgusting. That I should feel ashamed, and that she couldn't believe she was there and couldn't wait to leave, that made me feel so like assaulted, or that I was assaulting her, and I felt embarrassed. And that really stayed with me, I think as well, particularly because I was so tired at that point of the run. So that might be the worst gig I've had in a while. But other ones, oh yeah, actually, can I say one more terrible gig?
Yeah.
It was a comedy competition. It was me and Sinead entered a comedy competition, a very famous one. And it was 2014, I think. And I won't say the name of the comedy competition, but we were given free benefit makeup. And we were going free makeup. And we did one of our sketches that involves me playing a man called Giles and her playing my wife called Anne. And we're in a car, and she gets out of the car, and then I drive off, and she's like trying to get back in the car, but I'm driving off, and it's just like a stupid sketch. And we did it to no laughter whatsoever. And then the judge was like, there's something like, I don't know, you won't get very far or something. And then we ended up doing really well, so it's fine. Fuck them. Fuck them. So yeah, that was bad. That was in Manchester.
Do you set yourself objectives like in 5 years this, in 10 years that, or I want to be on this bill or on this stage?
Yes, and I have. I thought you meant just objectives like get out of bed.
That's my objective.
Yeah, I mean, I've got certain objectives that I need to meet today, like put a wash on. Yeah, I do. But they need re-looking at because I've forgotten them, and I think actually that would be really beneficial. I guess I would like to make a TV appearance within the next year on something. I would like to find a job that pays me reliably and like gives me a stable income, because I'm still not. I would class myself as a professional comedian in that I get paid to do comedy fairly regularly, but I'm also still tour guiding in London, so I still have another job, which is also incredibly common for all professional comedians. But it would be really nice to like end that journey fairly soon. It's been 5 years of tour guiding. Before that, it was waitressing. And I just would love to be able to, exist in a world where, I could just do what I love doing and get paid for it. I'm not asking to be a millionaire. I'm not even asking to be famous. I just want to work, and I just want to work with other people. And I think I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged. I have a really good living situation in London, which helps me be an artist. But I think, I want a job. I want to work.
What do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned? What informs your philosophy going forward? What would you tell the younger you starting out in comedy?
I would say to my younger you that the process isn't linear, and that we all have our moment, and not to fear failure. And I think, and to collaborate, I think, that it doesn't have to be solitary, that it's okay to ask for help. And that there are nice people in comedy.
Yeah. How can we find out all about you and where we can come and see you performing?
Probably on my Instagram, my link tree. I've got a little thing in my bio. Apparently I need a website, but I thought that was like very dark ages, but someone said I needed a website. Yes, that should be on my Instagram. And I am, I'm whipping my next show. So if you'd like to come and be a part of that, I wouldn't be sad about it. Just don't expect the costume to be like incredible, because I've got this incredible outfit that I'm going to wear, but don't expect the jokes to be, high quality yet. I'm really going to try and work so hard on that. I'm working Elf's in bloody Melbourne right now.
Yep.
But when she's back, she's going to sort of pull her finger out her ass and help me a bit. And then I have got a couple of days, which I'm really excited. I'm working with Tom Parry, who I love. So he's going to help me for a couple of days. But yeah, I'm on a journey with it. Oh, you can see me tour guiding as well.
Yeah.
I'll be on Brick Lane on Saturday between 11 and 2.
So my last question then is always the same. Katie, how would you sum up comedy in a nutshell?
How would I sum up? Well, can the nutshell be large?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would say comedy for me is a bit of a respite from feeling unhappy or sad. And it's also a coping mechanism for me. I always know that if I can laugh at something, that it'll be okay. And I like to make my audiences feel the same. I like comedy because I think it's a shared experience. It's a way in which you can get your points across, or like invoke some sort of social change or injustices, but you can do it without being earnest about it. And I love just the silliness and the absurdity of life, and I like to put that onto a stage, and I love the feeling of making people laugh. I think without comedy, the world would be boring, like what I just said.
Katie, it's a joy to talk with you. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.